Hey guys, welcome to Proko. This is Stan Prokopenko. I got a chance to check out the Grand Central Atelier in New York with sculpting instructor Zoe Dufour as my tour guide. We also recorded a multi-day masterpiece demonstration where she'll teach you how to sculpt a portrait and show you her process from start to finish. Make sure to get it while it's on pre-sale at proko.com/Dufour. Okay, let's begin the tour.
We're in Long Island City, which is southernmost Queens. We moved here a few years ago from Midtown Manhattan.
Are you Proko? I am. Oh, what's up? I'm Stan. Oh, that's awesome.
This is also where the first year program at Grand Central Atelier starts with the cast drawings. It's like the most elementary exercise they do to start understanding how light interacts with form.
I love the north light.
Yeah, the natural light in here is really nice. So this is our architectural drafting and perspective studio. The classes are taught by Anthony Baus. He does field trips around the city. It's a great place because there's so many incredible references here.
Yeah.
And he's,
man.
yeah.
Sounds really fun, actually.
Yeah, no, it's super cool.
What is this giant mural thing?
I think it's a personal project of his that he's just starting. Yeah, he's just started this one and this larger painting back here. You can see the staircase is a little offset.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, the whole building's kind of slanty and cattywampus. When we first moved into the space, we actually had an engineer come look at this floor because there's this crazy roller coaster dip in it right here.
Yeah.
We kind of tried to hide it with the couches, but supposedly it's okay. The pool games get pretty heated.
Oh, really? You guys have tournaments and stuff?
Yeah, the ping pong was probably the most competitive. A lot of the artists bought their own paddles. It got aggressive. We have work hung up by our instructors. The middle drawing is by Colleen Berry, and the two drawings on the side are by Rachel Lee, a resident artist and teacher. These drawings are all winners of a monthly Grand Prix competition that's held in the school. Out of the class, the best ones picked by a panel of judges. The judges are the teachers, and then there's a cash prize involved, so there's strong incentive to draw well.
Are these all like students that have been here for 4 or 5 years? Or?
No, I mean some of these are like second year students, I think. It's crazy how good the people are coming in. We have studios on either side. Right now there's classes going on. This is just cubbies. People throw stuff away too, like people will throw away drawings they don't like. Like I've seen people going through our trash and like picking stuff out of it.
Is that moral?
I don't know.
Like if an artist wants to toss it.
Maybe I feel like you have to like really destroy it, like burn it.
Yeah.
So this is our typical figure studio setup. This is used, I think, for the 3rd and 4th years in the core program at Grand Central.
Did you see this?
There's a Proko.
That's our poster.
This is the advanced cast copy hall. It's used for mostly casts and then I think also still life setups. This is a mixed-use studio, so there's master copies and some still lifes going on in here. That's our model Santiago. I think everyone's drawn, painted, or sculpted him at least once. And he can hold a contrapposto like nobody else. Like I think his hip will be like touching his shoulder, and it looks like it's comfortable for him. This is one of the residence artist studios. It's a shared space. This is Sandra Sanchez and Anthony Baus, two of the artists who use the space. I think there's 4 artists in here right now. And it's just the professional working space for artists, which is really nice to have included in the school, just so there's these, examples of people doing work that's less purely academic. So this is the other resident artist studio.
I get so lost in here.
It really is like a maze.
I feel like you're entering the same room, and then it's a different room.
Yeah, this is, I think, Dale Zinkowski's studio. This is Sam Hung's. He does mostly still lifes, and he's obviously into
rubber duckies.
Yes.
Has he explained himself? Like, what's up with the rubber duckies?
Like a lot of times representational art can feel kind of serious, so I think he likes probably the juxtaposition of maybe that attitude to the subject matter. And I think this is Savannah's. and she just started this rug painting.
Oh,
And this is our anatomy room. So we have all of our crochet sculptures in here and a bunch of anatomy books, and usually we have some anatomical drawings hanging on the wall, but right now there's the last month's Grand Prix drawing competition. And this is my studio. We only have one sculpture designated studio at Grand Central. So it's both the studio I use for my own work and it's also the teaching studio.
Do you have the biggest skylight in the whole?
Yeah, I think it is. In sculpture, you really want it to be illuminated. Like, you know, drawing and painting, you want those cast shadows. But in sculpture, you really want almost no shadows. You just want to be able to see all the form. That's why we even added these rows of clamp lights. We just wanted it, yeah, as light as possible.
What do you do here?
It's just for reusing clay. So we soak the clay in a lot of water in the buckets, and when it gets soft and like not quite like slip, but maybe like loose mud, then we spread a layer of it on the plaster, and then the plaster pulls the moisture out of the clay really evenly. The only time I buy new clay is if I have a project that I specifically want to fire. Once you recycle it, you find weird stuff in the clay. I actually found like a razor blade the last time I was recycling, which was terrifying. I was wedging the clay and I was like, oh, there's something sharp in here, and I thought it was just like a piece of dried clay, and then I like dug it out with my finger and it was an X-Acto knife blade.
Oh my God.
So that made me really nervous.
What is this? Is this the bathtub where the students take baths?
Yeah, you want to be clean. Yeah, it's the GCA spa right here. It's for demolding sculptures. So with the waste molds, the seams are really tight in them, but if you can put them into a large bath of water, the clay rehydrates enough usually that it expands and pushes the mold apart really equally. Yeah, I got that in mind for the life-size torso I had. But then I realized between the mold and the weight of the clay of the torso, I just couldn't physically move it to the bathtub.
Should we start pulling some of your work and showing it?
Sure. This is from a figure sculpture competition, so it was a tighter time format than I was working in typically.
Hey, I recognize the model.
Yeah, that's Santiago.
No, I recognize his face.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't recognize him from the other drawing.
Oh, because he has a big beard now.
Okay.
Yeah.
One of my favorite drawings by Colleen Berry is of him, kind of like a little upshot.
Yeah.
I love that drawing so much.
Yeah.
Stare at it. But yeah, no, that's him.
No, and he held that pose unsupported for 40 hours.
40 hours?
Yeah. And most of the figure work I have here is honestly like student work. On the shelf, like the very first portrait I ever sculpted is one of those.
Wait, the very first one?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, let's pull that. Let's compare.
It's just this little terracotta that is not actually on this base. So this is of my friend Jessica Artman, who's also an artist. I think I took no measurements. And I didn't know people really use tools for sculpture.
Oh, this was just with your hands?
Yeah, when I started the sculpture program here, I didn't have an instructor because he only came in a couple times a week. So I started in between the days he was here. Yeah,
it looks great.
Thanks.
So did you have like drawing experience or painting?
Yeah, I mean, I had gone to school here, so I didn't come here for sculpture. I came for the drawing and painting program. And then in my third year, Jacob Collins, the founder of the school, recommended I try sculpture because I was getting really burnt out. And then once I started it, I essentially just stopped drawing and painting entirely. So I just loved this.
It's crazy when you have drawing experience, your first sculpture looks this good.
Yeah.
How much of it translates over?
It's really true. I think like drawing and sculpture are super related. I feel like painting is kind of its own beast because you're dealing with color.
It's just another layer to it.
Yeah. Color never felt natural for me. Like I would mix something and be like, this seems right. It was probably like all shades of gray. And then a teacher would come over and put a note on and be like, oh my God, it's neon orange. But it was supposed to be like the right color.
Yeah, you kind of have to learn how to paint within various types of ranges.
I felt like, I don't know, color just stressed me out on this like probably almost like an existential level.
Yeah.
And then I really liked sculpture because it just felt like, I guess on the worst days even, it was still something really solvable for me. I feel like with color, because everything's so relative and you're dealing with like illusion and perception in a really different way, it just felt really overwhelming.
These are all yours, right? The ones with the plants?
Yeah.
Is this something you started doing recently?
It is. I've just started reading some books on ethnobotany, and I really like the idea of somehow invoking, I guess, the relationship we have with plants.
Is there any reason that they're growing out of the brain, or is that just because
I guess the
brain is in the head?
I think this is like the easiest place for it to be. I just think there is something pleasant about having something living with the piece. Maybe not quite utilitarian, but there's some practical aspect of it.
So you like the fact that it could be used for something rather than just a piece of art?
Yeah, and I feel like sculpture is kind of difficult. Paintings, like we all have walls that need decorating, but with sculpture, they take up so much space.
How do you choose what plants to put?
Usually I'll pick the plant based off the gesture the portrait has, and then also the color of the glaze. This pot is obviously unglazed, it's just raw clay. It's not terracotta, it's a colored porcelain. And so it has a slight shine since it's fired. This clay vitrified a lot, so it's really glassy.
So yeah, the red and green contrast, but there's a little bit of the red in the spikes.
Yeah, where it feels like a natural relationship.
Yeah.
One of my friends, Alyssa Benner, is a florist, and so she's been helping me not with the potted plants, but with floral arrangements. I honestly thought making a bouquet wouldn't be that difficult until I tried. And she makes these really, I don't know if it's the right word, but sort of like edgy bouquets, where I feel like it's unusual flower combinations and also unusual proportions, which I really like.
What is this giant thing that came across? Like what?
This drip. So this is the raw clay.
Okay.
With this piece, I used cobalt oxide, so that's these blue drips. The clay itself is a really dark clay body, so it's a dark brown. The oxide makes it almost black. And then there's a cream glaze over the oxide, but it reacted really strongly in these places. With the glazing these larger objects, I'm still working out how to do it best. A lot of people use spray booths for glazing these, but I kind of like the happy accidents that happen when I'm dunking or pouring over the pieces. It
fits a plant better. It looks much more organic. And then there's like brown under there. What is that?
That is a different clay.
Oh, okay.
The clay had gotten a little dry and I was worried about it not taking, so I put some of the porcelain slip to help, hopefully.
Is this like something that happened? Did it explode while you're like making a mold, or did you do that?
No, I did this.
Okay, that looks awesome.
I was curious about porcelain just as a clay for sculpting with. It has such fine particles that you can finish it really finely and you can make it really thin, and it has a really lovely quality. So as a clay I just wanted to play with, but it was really temperamental to sculpt with, so I don't know if I'll work with it much. The blue, is that like pigment that you add to it? That was a secondary glaze. It actually reacted to the clear glaze way differently than I thought it was going to. Right on the points of the, I guess, like hair, there's this really light green color, and that's more like what this glaze would be like without the clear, but where it's, running into the clear, it got way darker blue than I anticipated. There's a lot of material science that goes into the glaze mixes I just don't know that much about. I've never been crazy about finishing my sculptures. I feel like I have so many unfinished pieces, I'll just cast them and kind of put them to the side. But with the clay, it's nice because it's super immediate. Like you just dump a bucket of liquid on them and then put them in the oven and like hope for the best. It's really quick, and then there's sort of an element of like Christmas to it because you don't know what you're getting when it comes out, so it could be great or it could be terrible. Hopefully it's great. I have like fingers crossed. I haven't had anything explode yet. I've poked, I don't know if you want to see the inside, but I poke a bunch of holes in these so that hopefully it gives like vents for any potentially trapped air. You can see even here, like there's cracks that started in this.
But you can poke holes in here, but not really in the main area, right? So.
I did actually.
Oh,
well,
you did?
Cut the head off, and then cut the neck here, and then hollowed it out, and then put it back together. Yeah, there's a little surgery involved. The seated figure was one of my student sculptures. I never finished her. I cast her without her hair, and this model had like crazy long hair. It was like down to like mid-thighs. It was just a simpler mold to not do it with the hair. So I was rebuilding it up with Magic Sculpt, which is a 2-part epoxy. So this is the state that most of my pieces are in, of like almost done, but I haven't really made them look showable or like to a totally finished state. Okay, thanks. And so that was one of the poses where we wanted to do something super cool. So he would sort of hold it for as long as he felt comfortable and go back down.
And is this one that you had to make molds in chunks or pieces?
Yeah, every single one of these is a waste mold. It's just so cheap compared to rubber. Yeah, I like this one because it feels less purely academic. That's nice to do figures that aren't just like a basic contrapposto.
When you're thinking of gesture in sculpture, do you look at like a bunch of different angles and you think of those as like separate gestures? Like a gesture from this angle is like this, and then from this angle, this is the gesture.
I think of it as one thing. I don't judge, I guess, the gesture based off of profiles or anything like that. I'm thinking about making the pelvis and the ribcage into cubes and how those cubes are relating to each other.
I call it the robo bean.
Yeah, where the model stand is, the reason there is that tape on the stand is indicating the front plane of the pelvis.
This white tape?
Yeah, where the model's standing on the mat, and that's like the conceptual front of the cube of the pelvis.
Oh man, this looks like Cumberbatch.
Yeah.
Is it?
No. He was a student here at the same time I was. His name's Grant Perry. This was an exercise in expression, so I sculpted his face pretty neutrally and then shifted the volumes later to make him angry.
Be sure to check out proko.com/Dufour to see more of Zoe's sculpting process. Her masterpiece demo is on pre-sale right now, so catch that discount on her sculpting lessons. Thanks for watching, guys. Let me know in the comments if you like this school tour type of video, and if you know any awesome schools I should tour.